You think her silence means you meant nothing, but most of the time, her silence means you hit something, and now she's trying to regain control of how much you matter. You've been there. You see her name pop up in your mind like a reflex. You replay the last conversation. You count the hours. You scroll. You accidentally check, and you tell yourself the same lie that keeps you weak. If she cared, she'd be consistent. That's a comfortable belief. It lets you feel like the victim of randomness, like you're helpless, like you're just waiting on someone else's mood to decide your worth. No. Here's the truth over comfort version. When a woman is genuinely indifferent, she doesn't play with the line. She doesn't tug the rope. She drops it. Clean, quiet, gone. Indifference is simple. It doesn't need performances. But when she's doing certain things, certain very specific patterns, it's not because you're irrelevant. It's because you're relevant enough to be a problem, a temptation, a question mark, a threat to the story she's trying to tell herself. And before we go any further, if you're the kind of man who needs reminders like this, not because you're stupid, but because the world trains you to betray yourself, subscribe. Not for me, for you, because you don't need more dating hacks. You need truth. You need reps. You need the same clarity delivered again and again until your nervous system stops reaching for approval like it's oxygen. Now listen carefully, because I'm going to give you a thesis you can build your spine on. Here's what it really means when she's doing this. She's managing her emotions around you, not ignoring you. She's regulating, she's testing, she's resisting. And yes, sometimes she's manipulating, not in a cartoon villain way, in a human way, in the way people do when they want something but don't want to feel like they want it. And your job is not to decode her like a puzzle. Your job is to decode yourself, because the real question isn't, what does she mean? The real question is, why does this still pull me? Why does a few pixels on a screen have the power to tilt your whole day? Why does a delayed reply feel like a verdict on your value? That's called external validation addiction, and it will ruin you if you don't face it. So let's climb the reasoning ladder. Misconception, hard truth, root cause, cost, reframe. Then we build the man who wins. The misconception is this: you think attention is love. You think consistency is the only proof of care. You think if she's hot and cold, it's because she's not interested. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes she's just not interested. Sometimes you are the backup plan. Sometimes you're the free meal, the free therapist, the free confidence boost. But if you want to talk about the situations that confuse you, the ones where she's not fully gone, where she keeps orbiting, where she keeps accidentally touching your world, then you need to understand the female psychology underneath it. Not as a weapon, as a lens, because a lot of women don't experience desire as a straight line. They experience it as a wave, emotion first, logic later, safety versus excitement, comfort versus curiosity, the craving to be chosen versus the fear of choosing wrong. And when you activate something in her, something that feels intense, she doesn't always run toward it. Sometimes she backs up, not because she doesn't feel it, because she does, and feeling it costs her control. Now, what are the she's doing this signs that usually mean you're on her mind more than you realize? It looks like this. She watches your stories fast, like almost immediately, but she doesn't respond. She leaves you on read, but she keeps showing up. She likes one random photo from months ago at 1:13 a.m., then disappears. She sends a "Hey stranger" after a week of silence like time never happened. She asks a question that could have been a Google search. She replies with something light, almost childish, like she's testing the temperature without exposing her skin. She posts something clearly pointed, not directly at you, just sharp enough that if you know, you know. That's called indirect contact. And indirect contact is almost always emotional management. It's someone trying to stay connected without surrendering power. Now here comes the hard truth. The reason this messes with you is because you keep interpreting her behavior as a reflection of your worth. If she's warm, you're winning. If she's cold, you're losing. If she's present, you're valuable. If she's absent, you're disposable. That's not love. That's a scoreboard. And when you live by a scoreboard, you become easy to control. Because if she can change your inner world with a notification, she owns you without even trying. So why does it happen? Root cause. Pay attention. A woman thinks about you more than she admits when you create emotional contrast. when you're not just another guy who compliments her and asks how her day is, when you represent a standard, when you don't collapse into her, when you have a life that doesn't beg for her to be the main character, when you make her feel something that's bigger than her usual routine. And that can mean a few things. It can mean you made her feel seen, not just desired. It can mean you made her feel feminine in a world that makes her hard. It can mean you challenged her. It can mean you didn't chase when she expected you to. It can mean you walked away with dignity. It can mean you held eye contact like you weren't asking permission to exist. You didn't just give her attention. You gave her an experience, and experiences leave residue. Now, if she's thinking about you but not fully stepping in, it's usually because of one of these internal conflicts. She wants you, but she's afraid of how much she wants you. She likes you, but she's not sure if you're safe long term. She's curious, but she doesn't want to look eager. She's attached, but her pride won't let her be the one who reaches first. She's still healing, but she misses how you made her feel. She's keeping options open, but you stand out enough that she can't fully discard you. That's called ambivalence. And ambivalence is dangerous for a man who doesn't have boundaries. Because when she's ambivalent, she'll pull you in and push you out, not necessarily to hurt you, but to regulate herself, to see if you're stable, to see if you're needy, to see if you'll punish her with drama, to see if you'll fold and chase. And right there is the trap. You start performing. You start negotiating. You start trying to prove you're the exception. You stop being a man. You become an applicant. You stop leading, you stop building, you stop sleeping, you stop focusing, you stop being proud of your life. You stop. And the cost is more than losing her. The cost is losing you. Because every time you accept crumbs, you teach yourself that you deserve crumbs. Every time you answer the midnight wide with instant enthusiasm, you teach your nervous system to jump on command. Every time you tolerate disrespect because you want her attention, you cut your self-respect into smaller pieces so it can fit inside her mood. That's called self-abandonment. And self-abandonment is the fastest way to become unattractive anyway. Let me say it in a way you won't forget. The same behavior you do to keep her is the behavior that guarantees you lose her. Chasing doesn't create desire. Chasing creates pressure. Pressure creates avoidance. Avoidance creates more chasing. That's called the anxious avoidant loop, and it will keep you broke emotionally. So what's the reframe? Here it is. Her mixed signals are not a code you need to crack. They're a standard you need to enforce. Mixed signals don't mean try harder. Mixed signals mean decide. Decide what kind of access someone gets to you. Decide what kind of man you are going to be. Decide whether you're building a relationship or feeding an addiction. Because if she's doing these things, yes, you're on her mind. But being on her mind is not the goal. Being in her life with respect is the goal. And if she can't meet you there, then you don't negotiate your dignity just to feel wanted. Now let's get even clearer, because I know what you're thinking. Okay, so she's thinking about me. What do I do? Do I ignore her? Do I play games? Do I mirror her? No, you don't become a liar to beat a liar. You become solid. You become clean. You become undeniable. And that brings us to the archetype, the man who wins this without losing himself. He's not cold. He's not bitter. He's not trying to punish women for the ones who played him. He's not performing alpha cosplay. He's calm. He's direct. He's grounded. He has a schedule. He has a mission. He has something to wake up for that isn't a text bubble. He doesn't treat attention like food. He treats it like information. He reads patterns, not promises. He listens to behavior, not words. He doesn't argue with reality. He doesn't try to convince someone to choose him. He doesn't beg. He doesn't hint. He doesn't send paragraphs. He doesn't do the emotional labor. For two people, he has boundaries that don't require a speech because his life is the speech. And when she comes in hot and cold, he doesn't panic. He doesn't spiral. He doesn't write a manifesto in his notes app. He simply adjusts access. He's present when it's mutual. He's absent when it's not. That's called self-respect. And self-respect is attractive because it's rare. Most men are loud. Most men are desperate. Most men are negotiable. Most men will accept any deal as long as it includes a little attention. Not him. He'd rather be alone than be played. He'd rather be single than be small. He'd rather be peaceful than be chosen by someone who only chooses him when it's convenient. Now, actionable steps. Tight sequence. You're going to do this like a man. No theatrics, no passive aggressive energy. No, I guess you don't care. None of that. First, stop rewarding inconsistency. If she disappears for days and comes back like nothing happened, you don't greet her with the enthusiasm of a starving man. You respond like a man with a life. Calm, brief, polite, and you match effort, not intensity. Second, stop over-explaining. The moment you feel the urge to send a long message trying to clarify, define, and secure the connection, that's your anxiety talking. You don't negotiate attraction. You set terms for access. If you need to talk, you do it direct. One clear sentence, not a speech, not a trial, a sentence. Third, redirect to reality. If she wants your attention, she can earn it with presence. That means plans. That means showing up. That means consistency. If the interaction never leaves the phone, you're not building a relationship. You're feeding her ego and starving your purpose. Fourth, keep your frame. And frame isn't some internet gimmick. Frame is the inner posture of, I know who I am and what I'm building. If she senses you're easily shaken, she'll test more. Not because she's evil, because women need to feel the man is stable. They want to know the ground won't move under them. Your instability makes them unstable. Fifth, hold the standard without anger. The second you become rude, you give away your power. Anger communicates investment without control. Calm communicates value with boundaries. Calm is the language of men who have options. Options in life, not just in dating. Now here's the part you might not like. You want to hear, if she watches your stories, she misses you. If she likes your photo, she wants you back. If she posts a quote, it's about you. Maybe. But you're not a teenager decoding symbols. You're a man deciding his life. So instead of asking, is she thinking about me? Ask, is she showing up for me? Because thoughts don't build relationships. Choices do. Effort does. Consistency does. And if you let being on her mind become your trophy, you'll accept a life where you're always almost chosen, always almost loved, always almost enough. That is hell, and you don't belong there. Now let's address the deeper layer. Why her behavior hooks you so hard. It's because you're not just craving her. You're craving what she represents. She represents being wanted. She represents being validated. She represents proof that you're the man. And as long as you need a woman to prove you're the man, you will always be vulnerable to women who know how to withhold. That's called dependence. And dependence is not romantic. It's not noble. It's not love. It's a contract where you trade your peace for a possibility. So here's your identity reset. And I want you to hear it like it's carved into stone. You are the source. You are the standard. You are the one who decides what access costs. If she's doing these things, sure, you're on her mind. But the bigger win is this. You get to be on your own mind again. You get to return to yourself. You get to stop living in reaction. You get to stop checking, hoping, guessing, interpreting, chasing. You get to build. Because the most attractive thing in a man isn't his looks. It isn't his money. It isn't his smooth words. It's his self-possession. It's the fact that he belongs to himself. And when you belong to yourself, you don't fear silence. You don't fear losing her. You don't fear being misunderstood. You don't fear being alone. You fear becoming the version of you that tolerates disrespect. You fear becoming the version of you that begs. You fear becoming the version of you that forgets his mission because a woman posted a song lyric. So let her watch your stories. Let her like the photo. Let her orbit. You don't punish. You don't perform. You don't chase. You continue. You keep your routine, you keep your word, you keep your workouts, you keep your money tight, you keep your circle clean, you keep your standards high, you keep your emotions disciplined, you keep your life moving forward. And if she wants to come closer, she comes closer with clarity, with effort, with consistency, not with breadcrumbs, not with late night check-ins, not with just seeing what you're up to, because you're not up to anything. You're up to building a life. Now, here's the most important line in this entire script. And if you forget everything else, remember this. The goal is not to make her think about you. The goal is to become the man you respect so much that whoever thinks about you has to meet you correctly. That's the win. That's freedom. That's power. And if you want more of this, more truth, more clarity, more reminders that pull you back to your center, subscribe, not because I need a number, because you need a lighthouse when your emotions start bargaining with your standards. You're not alone in this. There's a whole community of men choosing self-respect over confusion, purpose over obsession, reality over fantasy. And you're not waiting to be chosen anymore. You are the answer.